7-8 years ago, and we asked them to give us the details of these 67 million shillings, and they didn't have the figures, and so we told them we are going to write it off because we could not defend it. This was just after even Ernst & Young came in when they were trying to confirm the domestic areas of government. And so when we discussed, we had this chat with a discussion with NSSF. They could not support the both for balance because earlier on the building was being managed by a private organization. Currently it's being managed by themselves. They have a unit under NSSF which manages it. So the figure was written from 321 million shillings and came down to 117 as per even right now.
You see, what Honorable Rosemary, I think, if I get her well, trying to say is that in this financial year they paid 21 million. This financial year we are talking about, you paid 21 million, which was balanced from the previous year.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And now here you're talking about 170.
The 21 million shillings was towards this 321 million shillings. Yes, please.
So it's not part of this 117?
No, it's not part of 117. It is part of the 321. This 117 is as at the end of the financial year. Okay. And 321 is at the beginning of the financial year. That's the same financial year.
So that's why we want you to explain to us page 32. You're there?
Yes, Chair.
First column, we say okay, then you go to second column, where figures are.
The first column, the second column is the balance brought forward at the beginning of the financial year 2018-19.
Fine.
We had the pensions totaling to 11 million shillings, 11.3, gratuity which had not been paid, which had been accrued, but the beneficiaries of the estate of the deceased
had come.
No, they had come, but they didn't have letters of administration, I think from court, something like that. So we had accrued the figure.
So by 2018, they had not come with them.
Yes, Chair.
By 2019, they had not come with them.
Yes, Chair. But they were paid about, I think, a month ago. They brought the documents.
So that means they took 3 years to come. They were still fighting in court.
That one.
Okay, that one you don't know.
I don't know, Mr. Chair.
Okay,
but they have been paid. They were paid about 2 months ago, Mr. Chair.
Okay, fine. If they have been paid, that's okay. Let us write here now paid. Okay. Go to the next one.
The next one is the 321 million shillings. That one is the rent which was accrued NSSF.
Perfect.
And out of 321 million shillings, we paid 21 million shillings.
No, don't run away from the other column.
I'm explaining. I'm explaining, Mr. Chair. The 321 million shillings was the balance brought forward for the previous financial years. After that, we paid off 21 million shillings from last financial year's vote. And we wrote off, adjusted the balance brought forward by 182 million shillings to bring the actual figure which was defendable at the end of the financial year, 117 million shillings, which is in the last column, Mr. Chair.
That's why we want you this write-off. Accounting officer, why we're interested in a write-off? It is because of Ernst & Young that many entities now are saying, no, these are excess. In fact, not Ernst, PSST, because under PSST is entitled to audit your votes. Many entities now, when the PSST said, no, before I make this area be put on my record for payment, I need verification. Yes. Now, there were 3 people already. One, the accounting officer, and his accountant who incurred them. 2, the internal auditor. Who is the internal auditor? Yes. He had confirmed that they have them. 3, our auditor general also confirmed, the officer from, auditor general is our officer. Yeah. Now, after when the PSSC, the one who controls votes came, he said, no. Even your office has confirmed, but I need a third one, a fourth opinion. I get it. Yeah. You said your name is Balisanyuka. I can see your Balisanyuka means they will be happy. Now I can see you're happy. Now, when the PSST came in, then people said, no, I think we have got it. It's true. We had overstated. Now, in your case, accounting officer, you had overstated by 182 million. That's why we're saying this man who recorded must explain. Now, it means if we had cash and we had given, you would have paid someone 182 million. I hope. Timothy, am I saying?
Yeah, I am seeing, and my worry goes to even at the time of appropriation, there was no indication that you required money for outstanding commitments. That's why there is zero.
I beg your pardon, Chair.
No, you are saying, you see, remember where we began from. There was no budget for areas, but you paid some money. And that means you had no plan to pay anybody. Your job was that let the payables stay until infinity. But you had just luck that you had 21.9 somewhere to pay. I want to get that's what Michael is raising. But the other one, it has the same leg to this one. How did 182 enter in our records? That's why we're saying if we had not, the PSST had not come in to do a second opinion, wouldn't we have paid? Because even our office had put on a tick in 2018.
Chair, it is true that the figure of 321 million shillings was at the beginning of the financial year.
Approved by the whole people.
Yes, it was approved, Mr. Chair, but I do admit it was erroneous, and it was on our part that we sat down with the NSSF and reconciled with them to defend the figures which they had provided. Chair, we could not have paid that money to NSSF erroneously.
No, but you had the ledger saying you're supposed to pay NSSF.
Yes, you could have a ledger with someone that I owe you this amount of money, but when you really go to the records, and you may find that the rate is even less, could have been even more, it could have been less.
Do you do saturation? You as the owner of the money, the accounts.
So we only have only subsidized with the NSSF. We don't.
You know saturation. You know saturation.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Do you do saturation?
Mr. Chairman, I want to ask, what is the role of DPP?
To arrest people. Isn't it?
I want to be answered. I'm serious. What is the role of DPP?
Chair, I can answer that. Under the Constitution, it is to direct criminal investigations and institute criminal proceedings.
Can you do that against yourselves?
Yes, we have many
Because
cases
I've heard
where-
somebody saying we erred, and everybody errs, and whoever errs goes through that process.
That is true,
Pre-bargaining.
Chair. Goes through investigations.
And the pre-bargaining. So, accounting officer, we have discovered this one on this one. We want to make a quick one. One, since we have asked for 21 which you paid, we need to confirm if it was from the rental which you had budgeted.
Yes, Chair, we noted that.
Because we discovered this was zero. Two, we want you to show us the 182 million you wrote off. First of all, who first recorded? Now you are writing it off. So what happened? What happened? You see, we need to find out, because maybe even we're not so sure we have paid someone already.
We haven't, Chair.
No, let us start with this one. Detail those, the 182, how we wrote it off, how it came up in the books.
67.
It's 182. Check, it's 182. No, 67 is on NSSF. I think the difference is on another item. The total,
Mr. Chair, all of it is on NSSF.
but you said 67.
67 was a balance brought forward at a period that was around January 2015. Yes. But the whole write-off is 182 million shillings out of the 321 million shillings.
Yeah, because we had 67.
That was at the beginning, at the 1st January 2015. The NSF claimed there was a balance of 67 million shillings when that former manager handed over to NSSF. Now there's a unit under NSSF which handles the tenants, where also we belong. Now we asked, this was the balance from the previous manager. We said, can you please support this? And they didn't provide the evidence. We even wrote a reminder and told them, if you are unable to provide a supporting documentation for these 67 million shillings, which was brought forward at the beginning, which you claim in your statement was brought forward at the beginning of the January 2015. If you fail to provide this evidence by this time, we are going to write down our figures, which we think we can satisfactory with,
But Mr. Chairman,
to 117 million shillings.
Yes,
I'm interested in knowing how there can be a disparity between the rent you owe to pay and the rent you actually pay. I am thinking you have a running agreement with the owner of the premises. First of all, how do you accumulate rent arrears is very critical, because the money provided during appropriation, I would imagine, would significantly capture that item. In other words, you are not expected to operate without premises. So I want to know, first of all, how you accumulate rent arrears. When, by this budget of this financial year, you received actually what you asked for, less 977 shillings. And two, how can a landlord, how can you capture an item, particularly for rent, that you write off later? Does the rent, did it fluctuate along the way? Were you billed after? Because in your stock of arrears for the previous year, you had captured your arrears for being 321. And an item like rent, even at a personal level, one would tell whether you paid for a month or 2 or 3. How does this situation arise that you are going to knock off by 1st July 2018? You had captured 321, including the 182 that you later wrote off. So by that time, you had not verified your rent arrears?
Mr. Chair, as I told you, that on the 1st January 2015, possibly around there, the management of the building of Workers' House moved from the property managers to NSSF. That's what I was told. 2, between the time when NSSF Workers' House, DPP occupied Workers' House, there have been adjustments in the rent, I think about 2 or 3 times. I'm not sure of the, but about at least twice they have been adjusted. Another thing, Mr. Chair, I don't know why there was no enough sufficient funds to pay during those periods. I'm not sure. I need to get my facts very well, because I wasn't there, but I can get the facts. But what I know, we have a statement with, we have a tenants agreement with any workers' house. Of course, before it was for 2 floors, and then about some 2 years ago, so it was increased to the 3rd floor, level 7, where we occupied 1 wing. And therefore the rent has to increase. And of course, every year we have been getting new landlords up country for offices we occupy. And of course, this increase, this it is dependent on the amount of money we receive, which is voted for rent. Of course, some of them is subjected to increases depending on the economic circumstances. So the reason why we accumulated rent, unpaid rent with the NSSF for those years, unfortunately, I can't give you an answer right now, Mr. Chair, but I can get the facts.
No, but what we were raising is that there must be a ledger.
Mr. Chair, there is a ledger, Mr. Chair.
I say this year, the total bill for rent to NSSF is 200 million. This quarter, I have paid 50 million. Balance, 150. You see, they are running balances.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Depending on what I've paid. The following year, I remained with 30 million. That is my opening balance. I add on this year's contract 250, says 280. I get paid. So the issue which Michael has raised and which is also baffling me, and Frederick, I know why he's putting on his hand, is that how would you say enter 67 and ask the other man that you show me, yet you yourself would be having here said, no, in my record you have 0. Why are you talking of what? 67. Are you getting what I'm saying?
Mr. Chair, the 67 million shillings and this right of 185 million shillings was in the records of the landlord, not in our records.
So for you can't record it.
So
No, listen to me, Balisana. Your record would read 0. It is him, your landlord, who will have his figures. That is for his job. It is when you write it to you, say, as far as I'm concerned, me, I'm what? 0. So why do you pick it in your accounts? I get it. Our argument, I don't know if you understand it.
I do understand, Mr. Chair.
And I want you to help us. We are going to give you time. We are not saying, how would you record it, your landlord's accounts in your accounts when yours are 0? That's why we're saying. Did you have any ill motive wanting to deal with your landlord and say, let me record it, I'll go to Frederick, I'll convince him and they give me money, and when you get, please don't forget me. That's what we are trying to understand. I think I can't know getting us.
Chair, I'm getting you, but of course the difficulty here, when it comes now to motive, is that it was not him.
Chair. I know you're deputy DPP, you have to answer your things.
Chair.
And also, we have also our own lawyers here. One of them is this one.
Chair, maybe to just add on what you've said, and to also try to understand what the accountant has said, that you had 2 floors, you went to the 3rd. Did you plan to go to the 3rd floor? Could it be in the course of the financial year, after you had already disclosed to us here what your rent would be, then you occupied the 3rd floor? In that case, the accounts of the landlord were different from yours. Could that be the situation that brought this up?
Frederick, I think you are not getting it. For us, we are not bothered. They can even get 10 floors. But what is important is that whatever you get, you record. Are you getting it, Frederick? That's where we are. We have all agreed. We have come, we have said, you go and get as many floors as you want. But what is our interest is when you get it, you record that this is the rent you are demanding. Now when you pay, you knock off to get the running balances. That's what we're saying. Now, Balisanyuka, which he has a very good lawyer here, who says, it is not, the motive is not him, but let us deal with it. We want to get who did it, what's the motive. He says he went and got the records of the landlord and came and put it to become his These accounts. That's why the problem we're getting accounting officer. I hope you're getting it.
Indeed.
Thank you. So what we want to do, because we don't want to take a lot of time, one, who really picked the 67 and put in our books, yet we knew ours was 0 on January 2015. Two, between January 2015 and June 19, no, June 18, because it also became 18. You, Michael, get 182 minus 67. I think it's 115. Eh? Yes, by June 30th, who added another 115 what? Million. Are you getting the Sanyuka? Now that means it came to 182. Now, Balsa Juka, who comes, who never knew the motive, who had not been in the loop, he said, no. This must be written, what? I hope you are getting where we're coming. So we need you to deal with the 67, the 115, and who is this one who recorded it, and what was the and this person who recorded it, accounting officer, who may be at an appropriate time, would need to look at him or her, and with your assistance.
You know what Fred was raising? This means that for you even to add another floor or to acquire premises up country, it must be in line with your procurement plan in your ministerial policy statement. That becomes the basis for appropriation. You can't simply say we have acquired another floor in between. It must follow a process, I am presuming. So now it means it distorts the entire budgeting cycle of what we considered versus what you would spend. So in other words, you have committed Parliament in advance when you want money for the accumulated areas for property that you acquired after we had confirmed your procurement plan. And for me, this is also a shortcut now in the budgeting process. So you see, the whole thing becomes what you presented. Your MPS actually required a core agenda to amend those figures. So
Yes.
I would like to find out, because they talked about upcountry offices.
Even Morote's
And what we are talking about, they are only limiting themselves to NSSF building. Now, can you confirm to us that your offices upcountry don't have any arrears? Because here we are seeing you never budgeted for NSSF. I don't know about the upcountry offices. Can you tell us?
Yeah, you don't have areas in upcountry, and also the motive of increasing upcountry, isn't it also there?
Mr. Chair, it's true we have upcountry stations which we rent, and we have tenancy agreements with these landlords, which are sanctioned by the Minister of Land Commission. We pay these landlords per financial year. So when we get the money, we pay the landlords when they fall due, but up to the end of the financial year. Now, all those landlords which we have, apart from NSSF, by all of them have fully paid up to 30th June 2020.
You have no areas.
We have no areas for all other other landlords. The only areas which we have are for NSSF. Last financial year, we have been paying quarterly, their quarterly bill, because it's about 335 million shillings, to avoid some of these distortions in the future. Of course, sometimes we get less, it depends even on the cash flow of government. Despite that it may be a protected area, but it may not attract full financing. So, like this quarter, we have received a quarter of the budget.
No, you have answered. You have said you have paid all. But the other question is there no excess in those ones apart from NSSF?
I'm not aware, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Accounting.
Chair, those areas, did you budget for them?
The areas to NSSF,
Yes.
The whatever areas you had?
we did budget for them, Mr. Chair.
You did?
We declared them in our financial statements, and of course, once we declare, we know that possible government, Minister of Finance will release the money. But
Let's separate two entities. Let's leave your financial statements. Did you budget for them? The question is very simple, and it is specific.
Mr. Chair, we did budget for them, Mr. Chair.
You did or you did not?
We did not.
Yeah, it actually means, because I was seeing his appropriation, there was no intention to budget. So it means the entire 321 was still questionable at your level. Because how can you not provide for?
Mr. Chair, before you budget for something, for rent, you must know what your rental bill is supposed to be for the financial year.
And before you capture something as your stock of areas, you must know what it is.
Yes, at the
So
time
I'm wondering
of,
how you...
at the time of accruing this amount of money in the financial statements, I think my colleague, who was the chair, he must have had a basis, which basis we shall provide. But of course, after that, we found out that the figures are not fairly supported. And the most prudent thing to do was to write it off, because they could not support it.
No, but what the members are asking, let us do it this way. And I want you, accounting officer, it's very simple. If you are my tenant, and I'm saying I'm charging you 1 million per month. Now, in the previous year, when we cross the year, you're going to be the balance of 5 million. Now, this year you're supposed to pay me 12 plus 5 million.
Yeah.
And now you pay me the 12. What do? I must first knock off the 5 million. You know, I want to be realistic.
Yeah.
Before I can say I have got 12 of this year, because I must knock it off. So it is easier to pay areas and carry forward the current year in front to look at areas of that year. That's why members are saying. Now, if your colleague was very intelligent, we say, no, let us record these areas, because when we get the release the other quarter, we will pay and carry them at the end, so that when Balisinyuka comes, he will get them, and they should be paid. Now, our worry is it the 5 million, or was it genuinely carried forward? How are we sure it's not more than 5? That, and which he has already what? Paid. That's why we're getting so interested. Then before we give you credit that when Balasinyuka came, he wrote off 182 million. We must confirm how much should we have written off, which they had already what? Paid. I hope you're getting where we're going. Are you getting it? Accounting officer, are you seeing us?
Chair, I'm saying.
So we want to leave this question by this accounting officer. One, we have given you who recorded the 67, who recorded the 155. Two, we are going to also say, give us payments, payments to NSSF for rental. When did you come there?
Mr. Chair, I came at the beginning.
No, when did we, DPP, you know we used to sit opposite square, you remember?
Yes.
When did we leave State Square to come here?
205?
205, yeah? Okay. Since this problem is starting in 2000 and want to assume 215, let us look at it from, you see, you go and get us a ledger to NSSF. Since 2010 to that, you see, it will be a ledger, you understand? This is what was a rental, this is what we paid. See, about 5 pages, even 5 pages may be too many. And what, through 10.
Since when, Mr. Chair?
Since July 2010. What was the balance and what have we paid? Let us look at those years only. You know what we're meaning. You got this it, this is the ledger of billing, this is what we paid. We want to find out if the bill was running very well. And now when did the 67 enter, then the 11 what? 5.
Possibly as a, it seems the figures between NSSF and the workers' house, sorry, NSSF and the previous manager, they may not be very.
Don't
variable.
worry, they may not be very variable, but we need you. Okay, we make the statement. They may not.
They may not be much, because even we requested for that balance of which was brought forward at the beginning of January 2015. They failed to support it.
When did you join IFMS?
IFMS 2004. No, that's the workers' house.
No,
Oh.
you, DPP. When did you go on IFMS?
I can't. I
Just,
don't.
where is Susan? Huh? It's 210. Just go and ask. The IFMS will produce all the payments to NSSF. It will not take away. This afternoon you'll have it. Now, when you get it, compare with what would be the bill. You will discover who entered the 67. You will discover. Michael, is that hard?
No, it isn't.
It's not very hard, Balisaduka. It is.
I'll do it, Mr. Chair, from the IFMS, and then I'll try to get the figures from also to compare the landlord. Both the invoices, the contracts, and the payments, and even the ledger, Mr. Chair.
But maybe let me diverge because I'm a Christian, so that you have pre-bargaining. We have some data. Because we got interested in rentals. We have some data, but we want to compare with what you are going to give us. Anyway, I've been very good because that's why members are interested in some data. Okay. Accounting officer, quickly want to state what we have done. We have done 1.2. We have done 2.0, 2.1, 2.2, 2.3. So I've done good work. Now the 1.1, I need to Auditor General to explain to us what do we want to achieve. Auditor General, what do you want to achieve on 1.1? Because I'm getting defeated always in 1.1.
Thank you, Chair. From the statement that is in the query,
what do you want to achieve with this query of NTR?
I think it is the Auditor General is saying that the entity collected NTR of 12.3 million, but this money was not budgeted for.
No, but if it's a windfall, should they not?
No, you see, Chair, when you read further, even in the accounting officer's response, he indicates that this money was meant for, it was from sale of bids, for sale of used vehicles. So this is something that is known that, okay, PPDA regulations require that the accounting officer prepares a disposal plan and include such money in the budget.
Additionally, Mr. Chairman, if we go by the explanation on note 7, on page 26, no, page 20, sales of goods and services. If the Auditor General describes it as the revenue acquired from sales of bids of disposals, then it would also mean that on page 35, those particular disposals were not declared.
That is very true.
Okay. Now, accounting officer, the 12.35 was for sale of bids.
Yes, for boarding of cars.
Uh-huh.
The authority had been bought the previous financial year. Then the actual sale happened
How much did you sell?
in the following financial year. We realized the 12,350,000.
That's for bids. What about the disposal itself?
Yeah, the disposal happened in the financial year 2018-19, but the auctioneer remitted the money in financial year 2019-2020.
Okay. By 2018-2019, it was sale of bids.
Yes, we sold the bids because
So
we didn't know who was interested. We just advertised and they came.
So
and
the sale was done in 2019-2020.
the sale of bids was done in
18-19. Let us confirm that.
18-19. Yes,
So
Mr. Chair.
that's okay. We have confirmed that the sale of bids is 2018-2019.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Now the exact sale is disposal is 2019-2020.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Confirm that the sale of these boarded vehicles and equipment 2018-19 was bids. 2019-2020 was sale of what? Disposal. Sale of the disposal. Is that true?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
You have evidence.
I don't have the evidence right now.
So we're waiting for the evidence on sales of the obsolete. Can a vehicle be obsolete?
Mr. Chair, you said you want the evidence of the sale.
The bids we have understood.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
You advertised, people came and bought those documents of ours. Okay? Now we want evidence of sales of the obsolete vehicles. How can a vehicle be obsolete?
Mr. Chair, I'm not in that class. I don't know. I can't answer that, Mr. Chair.
Accounting office, how can a vehicle be obsolete? I have a vehicle UPN 018. Is that obsolete? And it runs.
It may not be. Depends on how you have used it and in what mechanical condition it is. The owner cannot. But these are very old cars. We use these cars up to 10 years and yeah.
Yeah, but mine, UPN was 1989. It runs and I've never changed it. The pickup.
But these are cars that go to the field and
Even mine goes to the field. Mine goes even to longer fields than yours. And you know, government service is better than me. For you, take yours to Toyota. What is it? Uganda Toyota what? Toyota Uganda.
yeah.
Cooper Motors, Victoria. Mine go to those big garages of mine. I say this nut is not doing well. Fix, and it runs.
Mr. Chairman, I think we shall benefit also from getting the registration numbers of those.
Okay, so what we want you to do, give us evidence of the sales of obsolete vehicles and what were those ones, the details. Now, the question which Honorable Michael has asked, you have seen what he says.
I beg to.
Michael,
To
state
rephrase
it proper, show him the peg so that he understands.
Your statement of stores on page 35. Now, that column that talks of disposals during the year. In the event that you made any disposals during that year, arising from the sale of bids, it should have been recorded here. But if we go by your response, that you sold the bids in one financial year and then the actual sale occurred in the disposal occurred in the next financial year, then it is okay. So the purpose we want to verify is to know when the sale actually took place, so that we can.
Mr. Chair, we shall provide it, but as I told you, in the financial 18-19, the vehicles were sold by an auctioneer. First, we sold bids. After we got the bids, then those who wanted and participated in the purchase with the auctioneer. And then in the financial year 18-19, the auctioneer remitted the money onto our NTR account in Bank of Uganda.
No, what we're saying is that as far as you are concerned, by 18-19, from your statement, you are not sold.
You are not sold, Mr. Chair.
Then that's what you're saying. So that's why we want to confirm with it, because the sale can only take place when you receive the money and sign the what? Transfer. That's what we're trying to look at. And if that's true, that's why that page will not be affected now.
Yes,
it will be
Mr.
affected in the year 1920.
1920. Yes,
I hope
Mr.
you're getting what we're saying.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, do you charge withholding tax?
Yes, we do charge to any person whom we pay, unless he is withholding tax exempt.
Is NSSF withholding tax exempt?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. I have seen an expense attributed to withholding tax in your statement of outstanding commitments.
Beg your Chairman.
In your statement of outstanding commitments, I've seen 22 million attributed to withholding tax.
Yes, Mr. Chair, it is.
Doesn't that conflict with your procurement plan?
Mr. Chair, at the end of when we are making payments to suppliers on the IFMS, withholding tax is automatically deducted from that invoice, unless that person is withholding tax exempt. Either if it doesn't provide the certificate, we go to the web portal and we confirm and read it.
That's not the issue. You have accumulated new outstanding.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, at the end, when the supply has been paid, automatically when the IFMS withholding tax is deducted. And once deducted, it's automatically transferred to conservation fund, and the copy is sent to Uganda Revenue Authority. We also generate
certificate.
Yes, please. Now, at the time of the end of the financial year, the system had not transferred these invoices to the consolidated fund. That's why it shows an owing here.
So, in other words, in the next, you'll make an adjustment to your total commitments in the next financial year.
It was done this financial year.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman, the entity has declared only 2 sources of revenue. I don't know whether there are some you don't want to declare to us. Now, do you have any plans of expanding your revenue base?
Chair, the other way that we collect funds is through recovering proceeds of crime, but those are not termed as NTR. Yeah.
It goes to the person who lost. And for them, they are not businessmen and women. The only thing is to sell our bids.
Yeah.
Okay. So accounting officer, we have dealt with that. It will answer this. The only thing which I want us to, which we are going to meet the Auditor General and Accountant General, is that if I have got a windfall in a financial year and I've reported it, what is the procedure? Shouldn't I ask the Secretary to Treasury to adjust his budget to accommodate it? That's what we're going to see the Accountant General and the Auditor General. I think Auditor General, that's our next step to deal with. Are you getting me? In the year, I get a windfall, which I had not thought of. Now, Accountant General, Auditor General, and Secretary to Treasury should pick it to adjust their what? Their income in their budget. Are you getting it? For them, they should declare. Now, how would it? The PSST should adjust his income upwards. That one has you to report that you have got a windfall, and it's them to do the adjustment.
Yes, but Chair, there's another area where we need guidance. If we have declared domestic areas, do we again have to budget for them specifically? Because our understanding is if we have declared, it means that at some point, finance will deal with that issue, as it has indeed done for some domestic areas. They were not separately budgeted for, but after verification, finance has provided funds separately for those domestic areas.
I see, Accounting Officer, you have raised a good point. Domestic areas can only be approved by Parliament. How? Let us do it simply. You have a budget of 100 million. Parliament approves the budget. Finance gives you 80 million. In short, 20 million is an approved area. Are you getting it?
Yeah.
So it's incumbent again to government to ensure that that 20 million domestic area should be paid, because it was approved in the previous what? Yeah. But the money was what? Short. Now, you have brought a good question. Since Parliament approved it, now it has become approved area. Should you budget for it? That's a good question. And that goes to the Tumusinis, who are always here. I remember Peko, is it what? Pencon or something, or yes. Peko. We approved. You gave the accounting officer less money. What happened?
You see, why it should be budgeted for, first of all, is to avoid the situation you see already in your stock of areas now. There's a distortion of what was actual and what was not. So the moment you state that you have domestic areas, then it means that in the projection of your work plans for the next financial year, it must be captured. In other words, I don't see how Parliament can provide you resources that you have not asked for.
Accounting officer, what you are saying, first and foremost, the moment we see domestic areas where you have authority to incur, that's why should not be a query. First call. But also we're saying that before, now in the next financial year, you should come up and say, these ones were authorized last year, but you never gave me resources.
Yes.
I am asking for money to clear these ones. Have you got it?
Yes.
Now, having cleared this one, then my new commitments again for this financial year will be the following. Because they should not give you less these areas, yet these were supposed to have been sorted.
In fact, accumulation of areas, you having a stock of areas may not necessarily mean that we did not give you resources. That is why Section 21(2) charges anyone who accumulates credits from a company unless he has cleared his entire area stock. So accumulation of areas may not necessarily come because government gave you less resources. It may come as a means of an accounting officer accumulating even outside the law.
Now you have got it.
Yes, thank you.
Now you're okay. We know you're very good at pre-bargaining. Eh? Okay, colleagues, we have to run. You put it in your budget and ensure that you give me authority. And I never pay this. I need to deal with this while I go and do the next. And that's why you are saying that the man pays going on the rental. That's why we're interested in. I know why Balesenyuke is smiling. He knows why what we're looking for. Now, 1.1, 1.3 now. 1.3 will be dealt with 1.4. Accounting officer handled those two.
Chair, you skipped something
Which one?
that is very, very crucial. When we are dealing with the statement of appropriation, particularly under employee costs and goods and services consumed, when you relate it to his cash flow statement, I want him to give me an explanation of employee costs. You consumed 10.2 billion. Employee costs in the cash flow statement is 10 billion, 041. Goods and services is 17.245. Goods and services is 17.222. Under goods and services, if you included the domestic carriers paid, the 21, I would still have a balance of about 974,000. Do you see the difference? On employee costs, I have a difference of about 226 million. On the other one, I have a difference of about 22 million.
But have you seen it? Have you seen social benefits? It's 220 million, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
Even then.
So when you total, you get 226.
Yeah, 226.
That's okay. Now for goods and consumed is 17.245. You recall when he said that he shifted the money for partly the rate of what? Credit.
Yes.
So that's why we are saying, for you to reconcile, we need to look at the rate of credit and where you got the 167, we have seen it, the difference we want to compare. When he gets the rate of credit, he must be able to explain.
When I added, you get that 17.2 222 versus that, the difference is 22.
22 million.
And I thought he had attributed it to the domestic carriers paid, yet he also captured it in
Separate. But listen, have you seen it? Eh? Can you do that reconciliation, because we may not get it now here? Accounting officer, have you understood what Michael is raising?
Yes.
So can you quickly, can you handle it now here or you want time?
Yes. I think I'll need some time.
You need some time. So we have noted, we have to support it. Employee costs and goods and services as per cash flow and appropriation. Thank you very much, Mike, for that information. I shall give it to you. Okay, input, output. Accounting officer, deal with that.
Thank you, Chair. We have been having a problem in that because we are a processing institution, we are in the middle. After police has investigated cases, they send cases to us. So in our planning, we have been planning based on percentages at the time of planning. So we say, for example, we shall handle 70% of all the cases registered. We don't provide the actual number. Then at the end of the year, we are able to report and say, okay, we ended up getting 100 cases. And since we had said we would project to handle 70%, therefore, we handled 70 cases, translating into 70% and met the target. But now, based on the advice we have been getting from Auditor General and from Parliament here, we want to try and change. So what we have done now, we first commissioned a case census. It is ending just now. We are waiting for the reports. The reason why we have done it, we want to verify whether the tools we have been using to collect data are actually helping us. And then based on that, we'll now be able to make a realistic projection. So what we now want to do to improve, we'll base ourselves on the past year and say if we are able to do 100,000 cases, maybe this time there will be 120,000. So in future, that's what we intend to do. We use past performance to project, and then be able also at the time of reporting to report accurately. So this shortcoming, we have noted it, and we are trying to improve to make sure we state both the projected quantities and then also the actual performance at the time of reporting. Because even among ourselves as staff, it has been creating some confusion. People say, "What do you mean by 70%?" So we acknowledge this shortcoming, and we think that in the next reporting period, we might be able to do better. Then on 1.4, Chair, the implementation of the planned outputs, where we were not able to meet our targets, especially with regard to handling cases. It is mainly because of the staffing levels that we have. It is because of understaffing. And also, in some cases, it is because of the complexity of the cases. We are not able to handle complicated cases as fast as the other easier cases. Then there are cases where we get convictions and people are ordered to pay back, but that process takes time, because when somebody appeals against the decision, they also appeal against the order to execute or to pay the compensation. So we wait for the appeal process to end, in many cases up to the Supreme Court. So therefore, where it involves recovering proceeds of crime, it really takes time because we have to wait for the appeal process. Then, for some time, we have not been opening new offices. And the reason is because of understaffing. Already, in the stations where we are fully operational, we don't have enough staff. So it would make it worse if we try to open new stations, because each time you open a new office, you need prosecutors there, but you also need support staff. So you end up requiring about 5 people in just an office. So because of shortage of staff, that's why we have not been recruiting. We had on the next page 7, those ones have been explained, but we also failed to automate or to computerize 5 stations out of 20 which had been planned.
But accounting officer, we are happy what you have said, but we want to deal with the matter, the problem, which is very easy.
Yes.
We want to maybe, there was somebody who introduced himself as in charge of inspection.
Yes.
Where is it? Yeah, let us do that. Let us start with inspections. How many inspections did you plan? Are you getting it?
Yes.
How many did you do? Assuming you planned 20 inspections and you did 25. We say you did more by 5, and you should also be thanked for doing the additional what? 5. And you say we did 5 because we discovered we went to Masaka and Mbarara was near. We went also to what? To to Mbarara, out together. So
That-
we,
That is true, Chair, but this particular scenario relates to handling cases
No, we're going to
in
go-
different departments.
we are going to deal with it.
Okay.
So let us say inspection. Maybe here she is. How many inspections did you plan? How many did you do? Put on the microphone.
We carry out inspections per quarter.
So how many did you plan?
We plan for the whole financial year. So
How many
those are
did you
4
plan that for?
inspections.
4 inspections.
Yes, for the whole financial year.
When you only 4 offices?
No, like every quarter, we inspect like a region.
No.
For
Let us deal with that. How many total inspections? Because if you went to Eastern region, how many offices do you have? How many did you inspect? How many did you inspect? We are just giving. So you say in this financial year, we're going to do 20 inspections. How many did we inspect?
Okay. Our target normally is 44 stations
Exactly.
per quarter. So in the first 3 quarters, we were able to meet the target for all the 3 quarters. But then we didn't carry out any inspections for the 4th quarter because no money was allocated.
Now that's what we're going to do. So accounting officer, we want to give you time. What, do you know why we're raising this? Is that we're having a crisis that our staff get money and sit in NSSF house and don't do what? Work. Yet we have given them brand new vehicles with fear, with policemen to guard them. My policemen no guard me also will say, but you are not taking us to inspection. Are we together?
Yes.
So what we want to do is, the Auditor General had an issue. He said, you planned activities, resources were allocated, but you have not quantified the activities. How? How many inspections were you supposed to do? How many did you carry out? Then you will say, okay, the inspection money, here I did the work. What you are trying to say may be that you have not said, you have not tied very well the money to the inspection. But let us have the units we had planned, the activities, did we carry them? Are we together?
Yes.
Then that one we shall be. This question as it is, the Auditor General has read it, has not been answered. So now this is what we want to do. We want you to do what were the planned activities, and what did you do, and what is the variance? What is the cause of the variance? And the variance accounting officer is both positive and negative. Positive is we succeeded to do this more because there was no rain in Bugisu and we did more offices. The negative was because when we went, we stopped on the way by Konyi, we could not finish the work. Are we together?
Yes.
So now what we're going to do, concentrate as a committee, 1, cases. Cases. You received this number of cases, you process the following. Processing a case does not mean it has been judged on. Are you getting it? You received the 10 defilement cases, we started the process of what? Prosecution. Or of this, 2 we sent back for investigation. Are we together?
Yeah.
So now, in 2018, 2019, how many cases did we receive? How many did we process? Judgment is different. Even if, are you getting what we're saying?
Yeah, I get it.
So we're going to look at how many cases you received, how many you processed. Inspection, because the Auditor General is saying you have to do inspection. What was the planned inspection? What we have done. So we're looking at inspection, cases, now training. There's also training. You plan to train. How many did you train? Are you together?
Yes.
Then quarterly reports of the internal audit. Since it's here, did you do the report, the internal audit report?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, we did.
So you did the all of them. So this one, you will also send us copies. So we need the internal audit reports for 2018, 20 what? 19. That will be evidence that you did. Do you have them here?
No.
You must submit them. Then when you did them, was there the audit committee?
Yes, we discussed
So
them,
now,
some of them.
we need the audit committee reports for 2018, 2019, and I think 2019, 2020, because if those you did at the, maybe the audit committee sat following what?
But Mr. Chair, since January.
No, you do that, you show us. You did your report.
Yes, I have them.
The only thing is that the audit committee did this and this, and this is the backup. The purpose of the audit committee would have answered these issues, which are being asked by the auditor. What? Yeah, I don't.
Yes, Chair, thank you. I think I want to underscore the importance of this quantification of activities and outputs. You know, I don't know how you cost your items per unit, because that's the basis of the budget. If you are saying 70% of how many? You see the point? Assuming it was only one case. Now you are saying 70% of one case. How do you do the costing during the budgeting period? So I think, Chair, this is a particular query. I think they have to take it very seriously. You need to make sure you quantify your outputs and activities so that it helps you in tracking what you have been able to achieve and what you have not been able to achieve. I think that's the basis of this particular audit query.
Now, some guidance. If I've projected that I will handle 100 cases, and I've been given funds for 100 cases, what should I say when they become 150? Should I refuse to handle them?
No. You see, that's where he's talking about the variance.
Yeah.
That the variance can either be positive or negative.
Okay.
So you state that we had a bonus and we were able to handle more cases than.
Well, I'm asking that question. That's why I started by saying that. So because of that, we can't project how many will come. That's why we are forced to say, okay, we shall try and handle maybe 70%.
No.
Of the cases that will come.
No.
Then at the end, at reporting, and I'll say, okay, I decided I would handle 70%.
I handled 150%.
No, they were 150. So what is 70% of?
DPP, just accounting officer 1 minute.
Yeah.
Assuming you got only one case. 70% of one.
0.7. No, accounting officer.
You see the point. You see how it is. It doesn't really happen.
That would be 100%, but that scenario is, of course, impossible.
No, but
only one case
but
in a year.
let us do it this way. Supposing you got.
But I have understood, Chair.
200 cases of these chicken thieves.
Yeah.
You know those who steal chicken.
Yeah.
These are small ones. But there's one of embezzlement, a big one.
Yeah.
Which involves mega embezzlement, which made all the office of DPP. Are we getting it?
Yeah, Chair, I've understood.
You have
I've
understood
the point, yeah.
So you could clear the 200 small thieves within a second, but one of the mega embezzlement.
Yeah.
Are you getting it?
Yes.
And that will say, we had 200 of thieves of chicken, we cleared them, but one of embezzlement up to now was still studying the what?
Yeah.
But you have done work.
True.
And by the way, that one, yeah, it helps also the accounting officer. I don't know whether they have captured something on human resource.
That's where we're going.
Is it there?
That's where we're going, the next one.
Is it there?
Yes.
Hey, okay.
So accounting
Then we'll
officer,
come to that.
what we are saying is that you go under the detail that we got these cases of this. By then you can categorize the cases. High risk, medium risk, lower risk. I say Sanyuka is Kusanyuka. The reason is high risk takes a lot of your time. Medium, low risk, these are cleared off, disposed of quickly, and whatever.
Yeah.
And this will help you to answer the issue of the challenge that we need more money or more human resource to deal with this side. What we're looking at, by the inputs of the Auditor General, which is saying input and outputs, is going to be one of, this we agree, is the one of going to determine how do you need the resources.
Yeah.
Both human and, sorry. I was
Yeah.
talking about you, that's why you choked.
Chair, I take that because we also have departments, and each department has
Chair,
high risk, medium, and some departments actually have very few cases, but all of them very,
That's true.
yeah.
That's what we're saying. And you see, to get the data we're asking, it's not very hard. You ask your DPP office in Mbale, how many cases did we get in this year?
Yeah.
How many did we? It is a, I'm told you have even a soft. When a case comes in, it is easy to.
Yeah, but we also get statistics from the field.
That's where we want to look at, and it will answer what the DPP stated when in the beginning. Yes,
Yeah.
Michael.
Oh, I was just cautioning you that maybe our colleague scolded Okwesiamara when you.
No, because we're talking about him. And unfortunately, I was talking about him louder. That's why he got chat. Maybe also take some more so that you get better. Okay, accounting officer. On that one, we will give you up to Monday also because it's very easy. For us, it needs us to understand. And when we're saying DPP office was given this amount of money, it was able to deal with these cases like this and this. A man will be happy to hear that inspection was carried out. For cars, we have discovered why we're happy with the cars, that whenever there is a budget for cars, it is executed 150%. But these cars must make sure work is what?
Being done.
Staffing.
Chair, which page are you? 12.
Domestic
Yeah,
areas
we
we have done.
finished.
Domestic areas we have done. What we have done, we can't repeat. Unauthorized we have dealt
Okay,
with.
12 on staff performance.
Now, accounting officer, we must go to the Auditor General. You want to run away. Number one.
On staff performance.
It says you have 53 senior managers.
Yes.
None had failed. For you, I will allow you because you cannot be an accounting officer without secretary entering with the secretary of treasury. For you, now I'm going to the others. Who are these other 53 who never filed? You are not going to.
It is all the senior managers.
Yes, so now, who are those? So we are now going to human resource now. Do you want to handle it or your staff will handle?
I can even handle it.
You're
when he came in, Chair, it is true that these managers have not been filling these.
They have not been filling,
Yes.
and there is a statutory instrument number 1 of 2010.
Yes.
What is a standing order to begin with? Is it law or it is just there's a fair? Because you are
It is there, but rollout started later, Chair.
We must deal with this instrument.
Rollout started in 2018.
Yes, it started in 2018. For us, we want to know these 2053 who refused.
They didn't refuse, Chair. For some reason, the system had not been formally introduced to them.
Mr. Chairman.
Now, when this was raised, we have put measures in place to address it. And the first thing that we did is we put in place what we have called a performance management task force to look at all the weaknesses that were pointed out by the Auditor General. And some deliverables have been realized so far. So we started by, one of the things that was pointed out was that we didn't have schedule of duties. So the task force has been working on that. We have now the schedule of duties. They also worked on now the performance targets that we are going to use. They also worked on ensuring that, because even for the normal performance appraisal, it was also not being well attended to. People were not responding, and we have also focused on that one. So for performance appraisals, this time people have responded very well, and we have put some measures also to ensure that something is done for those who don't feel performance appraisals. So in reality, the next step now is for these 53 or so managers to now fill the performance agreements, because we have now been trying to sensitize them. So, Chair, to be honest, most of them didn't even know that they had to fill these agreements. So that's where we have started from, to make them aware that this is what, at a certain level, you have to move away from performance appraisal and go to this. Now that we have addressed the normal performance appraisal implementation, so the aim now is to implement for managers performance agreements, but we have to start by sensitizing them. So I want to be very honest on
You are
this
going
one.
to be honest, even the pre-bargaining will come later. Accounting officer, the issue we are on is that people have been assuming it's only money. And why you have seen we as a committee, we are determined to deal with this matter is one. Many districts and others wait for a release.
Yeah.
As soon as the release comes in and it is released and they sort it out, they also go out as the release goes out. They come back in the following what? Release.
Yeah.
Now what happens is that staff are never there to perform. And in the reality, in your case, backlog of cases.
Yeah.
And because nobody monitors your staff, they don't sign the attendance book, there's no clocking in, there's no clocking out, and somebody puts his coat or her bag on the table,
Yeah.
they go out, you assume they're in, they're doing their own things. And that's where we are. And on this one, we're determined to start with this one of DPP.
That is true, Chair.
And now,
some of them are here.
Yeah.
But, Chair, actually, the lady there is the deputizing on that task force.
Yeah,
and
even if she's
that's why
deputizing.
she's listening.
She's listening, but we are going to deal with that today. Now, let me get the progress get, and we must be ready to deal with the Assistant Commissioner, Human Resource, why he never did it. But before that, let Florence ask you the question she wants.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. If we are dealing with the staff, I think it is important also to understand the staffing levels and the gaps that you have. Secondly, Mr. Chairman, we need to know what is entailed in that circular standing instrument, instruction number 1. Because we are dealing with a query as at that time, not what is being done to address whatever, but what caused the Auditor General to raise such a query.
Yes, Accounting Officer.
To add on that, Chair, I think this circular was issued way in time.
In 2010.
Before this audit issue came up. Yeah. Are you telling us that you never received any instruction from the Minister of Public Service?
Accounting Officer recorded those.
Chair, apart from this circular which introduced the performance agreement, and the one of 2018, which was now for rolling it out. So the rolling it out was the subject of another circular, the rolling out.
But you see here, you know.
So when it started, Chair, it started at certain levels, and I think the Assistant Commissioner, being from the Ministry of Public Service, could explain better. When it was first introduced, it was for a certain level. Then subsequently, the one of 2018 was now to roll it out. So I think if we are being assessed, we should be assessed on the basis of the one of 2018 rolling out.
You're not going to set your own questions.
No, Chair.
Accounting officer,
Chair,
you're not
the accounting officer is taking this very lightly. You mean the 53 members of the senior management team? Which category of the standing order issued do they belong to? Is it the first one, or the medium one, or the last one?
Chair, these are people who
are senior.
They
senior management.
became only recently when they were promoted. They were not always in that category.
So before
they
that,
have just been promoted recently to that level.
No. Accounting officer, don't go that area.
Yeah.
Okay, even if they were promoted recently, they were going to get them elsewhere.
Before that, they were under the performance appraisal system. So they have just become senior.
No. Let us go to
come under this.
Let us go to 3.4. Do you know what 3.4 says? We assume they were among these.
Maybe, Chair, I need to find out from him. the senior management are from you what? The category of these 53. In your staff structure, they are from you what?
Chair, I can support my accounting officer. Senior managers are those ones in U2 and above.
Okay.
Now let's go to the schedule.
Yes.
Let's go to that page in your final accounts.
Why are you not eating some kabalagala, accounting officer?
It might choke me. You know you are. I'm not okay.
Have you looked at the page?
Which one?
Page 39. Or your final accounts.
This one.
There is a table there. It's Annex 6 of your staff payroll.
Yes.
Now, on that page, the total number of staff from U2 and above by 30th June 2019. When you add 6 to 2 is 8, plus 42 is 50, then plus 1. There were 51. Now here the Auditor General is saying the senior staff, the 53. So which is which now?
Chair.
And then also, when you go the other side, number of employees at the beginning of the financial year, 1st July 2018, you add the other one from U2 upwards. They are about 50, I think. So the number is very inconsistent.
Members, they agreed
so
to
50, 51, 53.
They have agreed to allow them to adjust this table. But now we're going with what Michael is raising. The 53 has just assumed, using the rudimentary method, he has got them here. Now he says, okay, we have got the 53. He's asking him.
Yes. Chair, the majority of these people got promoted recently. ODPP had issues of structure. The ODPP was restructured, and its approved structure came into place in 2016.
2016?
Yes. Actual implementation started in 2019.
For implementation of what?
Of the new structure. When we started filling the positions at higher levels.
But you see, accounting officer, let the SC SC Human Resource not lie us. Are you not from public service?
Yes, I am from public service.
Yes. If you're from public service, who issued instruction number 1 of 2010?
Ministry of Public Service.
And that's where you come from?
Yes, that's my mother ministry.
Yes.
Yes.
So you are the one who comes to implement the standing orders of your ministry.
Chair, the circular of 2010 introduced feeding of performance agreements. And it started at a certain level.
That's what we
It
are
introduced.
Have you first of all agreed that this instrument is there, instruction is there?
Yes.
Now, we want to assume in the means of public service, in means office of the DPP, at that time there were 2 people
Yes.
who should do this. Did the 2 fail?
Unfortunately, I was not there at that time.
How long have you been there?
I joined the ODPP in March last year. I'm just 1 year and 4 months. But I imagine that they did not feel, because at least it would have been on record.
Yeah, March last year. And you are the one who came in. You should have said, in March I've come, this is a standing order, it should be worked on. So these 3 months you were there, what did you do?
It's what we are doing right now.
No, you can't go there. Did you feel? Yeah.
Before
did you
he
feel?
came.
When I came in,
No, did you
Or
feel?
before.
Before.
I felt from where I was at that time.
You are
Because
sure?
at that time I was not in the ODPP.
No, whatever you are. Did you feel where you came from? What is good for you is good for others.
No. That one I must state clearly that I did. Chair, I want to tell this committee that these new initiatives from public service generally across the entire service, the implementation has been so slow. It's not only the ODPP.
Are you supposed to be the one to determine whether it has been slow?
You are an assistant commissioner who should really do your what? Your work. Because if people don't fill these forms, you have no work. If you don't have a performance appraisals on your file, you have no work.
That's true.
And it is very dangerous, accounting officer, to have human resource not really advising. You can easily, you could be coming to court, DPP, you're very busy running up, but the person who should say, sir, this thing is not done, is that person. If he doesn't remind you, you are here, people asking money to pay, people going to the field, doing what? The person to assist, is that one?
Chair, he did, and that's why we...
No, he
he's
never
the
did.
one who advised me to set up the task force.
No, he is now coming when the Auditor General was what? Come. And the issue was saying we are dealing with the question now. So to avoid taking time, we want you to give us this 53, list of these 53 who never filled the forms.
Mr. Chairman, once an instruction is given, there is reason why it is given. And Mr. Chairman, to achieve that, if there is a gap of not having a sanction for those officers who don't abide by the regulations, then we have to address that. Mr. Chairman, I want to look at the standing instruction, how it is drafted, and if it guides us on what action to take. Because I've seen many of these officers, they take things for granted. Yes, because I'm sure it's not a waste of time that you are told that do this, but then you take it for granted, it remains in the books, and nothing is done, and everybody is walking away with it. So, Mr. Chairman, I think let us look at the instruction and buy it according to what it says.
Accounting officer, before my chair comes in, the instruction is you even implement. If you went to court, they said this commissioner never filled this. you would say, because you violated this, you are not supposed to have earned this money.
Yeah.
And because you are not supposed to earn this money, you are even supposed to have been dismissed from service. And the person who said the DPP, and that will be the evidence.
Yeah.
Now I want to see you start with the person who uses the evidence to deal with others. Are you getting us? So
Yes,
the evidence
yeah.
number one is we need to get this 53. And after getting the 53, you needed to write to them and you copy us that you are going to appear before the committee. Please explain why you never filled the performance agreements and the performance what? Plans. They should put it in the plan. For you are saying we have now implemented. That is not them. Your job is that everybody must follow a standing order instruction. You can put your committee, but as far as we are concerned, we need the list of the 53 and tell them they will appear here. We're going to put them in the class. But before they do it, you must write to them and advise that you must write your explanation why you never filled the performance agreements and the performance plan. And this one, we need it by Monday in the responses. That's one we said. And even when they are doing the responses, they should attach what they have done now, what they are doing now. But in the meantime, we're going to discipline our assistant commissioner in charge of human what? Human resource.
Maybe just to add on, you know, I think at the very beginning of our meeting here, the chairman put it very clearly that this is going to be a supportive interaction, not fault finding and
true. Yeah.
But you see now, when you look at your record here, Auditor General, this book of accounts, by the 1st of July 2018, this senior management position was already filled. When you had this, is already 50. So which means that the financial year under review, this position were already having these human resource people. And that's why the Auditor General was able to pinpoint that, you know, there were 53. So just to come and say, you know, this was a promotional staff, we started in 2019, no. It doesn't add up. We have always been seeing people carrying Bibles and Quran, swearing in that they will not in the court. So we may even do it here.
Mr. Chairman.
And if the DPP is the one holding the Bible saying, you know, I will not be able to. I think let's take it seriously. What we are trying to say, let's take it seriously.
Chair, I take it seriously, but it's also true that they were just recently promoted. But yeah.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I want the accounting officer to go to his trial balance. Now, in your trial balance, I want you to look at the very last item with the code 281504. The monitoring, supervision, and appraisal of what? I am assuming staff.
Yes.
I am seeing a cost attributed to that item of 220 million.
235.
220.
Oh, yeah, it's here.
Now, I am assuming that this activity, first of all, is among the activities you planned for, and it has a cost. So if the appraisals we are talking about have a cost, and there were no appraisals filled,
What kind of? Now he knows what we're talking about.
That is true, Chair. It's not that all of them were not done. Some people did fill performance appraisals, as has been pointed out at page 14.
If if the 35 did not fill, you see the requirement was 235 million, and it is less 15.
Yeah.
So it means that the 35 people, their cost should have been 15 million. So I'm trying to spread this money. You know, I talk to this query, it must talk to the figures this side.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I rest my case. I see.
No, you have rested it very well, accounting officer. You have seen it. You had money for even appraisals, supervision, because you must supervise your work, you must supervise your staff, you must do everything. So, I'm sure appraisals are taken in the office of basic commission. Unfortunately, the assistant commissioner, you're going to punish is my father. So, yeah, so I have nothing to do, but I'm going to punish him. The rest we shall deal with when we are at home. Now, accounting officer, we have dealt with, you have seen where the money is, you have to confirm to us that the money did the work. I think that one, when you are doing this, you must show that the money did the performance.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we go to the other one of quarterly reviews. Now, let us handle also performance appraisals. Have you seen?
Yes.
We needed, it was 518, but only 128 are the one who what? Who failed. Show us those who never failed the performance appraisals. And Mr. Accounting officers, we are talking about performance appraisals. You know, these are for purposes of promotion, demotion, training, retuning, mention it, even the transfers. So they have to give us those who never failed and why.